Willie D Live.
It's Willie D, y'all, back with another episode of information and instructions to help you navigate through this wild, crazy, beautiful world. In the studio, Christopher Williams.
What's up, my brother?
What's up, King?
How you feel, King?
I feel good. How do you feel, man?
I feel great, man. I feel blessed
good.
to be here.
Feel great.
Yeah.
That's great, man. That's great.
Yeah.
I got to ask you right off the bat, and when I say how do you feel, I'm serious because I know you had a health care.
Me and Al B went through it. I feel great, Willie. I'm good. Came a long way. I was just telling my people on the way over here that yesterday, June 11th, was 2 years ago. I took my first step at my son's wedding. And I remember when I was going through the tumultuous time, in November 5th of 21, I fell into a coma. First time I was ever sick. My kidneys failed. Developed cystis. I had shingles when I thought the shingles was causing it, but it was just the portal to everything that was about to happen. So my kidney shut down. They tried to incubate me, induced me in a coma, which should have never been done. Lasted 24 days. I fortunately came out. When I came out, I was 135 pounds from 205. I fell out. I was 205. I woke up 24 days, 70 pounds lighter, paralyzed, couldn't do anything. Couldn't sing, couldn't talk. I was talking like this, and my son would listen and then tell other people what I was saying. So when I smile and say it's good to see your face and be here, it's actually great. Good is not even the right adjective.
Was you cognizant that when you had woken up and you were you had awakened and you were like still like immobile? Did you know that you had lost all that weight?
Not when I first woke up, but I knew I was in a nightmare. But by the time 48 hours, I would say, went by, I kind of knew everything. Because, you know, what happens is they first bring in a doctor who's going to physically tell you what's wrong. Then they bring in a mental doctor who's going to see if, you know, the failure and the being in a coma has affected your brain. So they ask you a lot of mental questions to see if you still remember who you are, what's going on. And that I passed in flying colors. You know, obviously the physical part I failed. You know, I failed in everything. I couldn't do anything. But thankfully my brain was working, and they would ask me stuff like, starting at 1,000, subtract by 9, and I could go all the way down. And this would go on every day for about 2 or 3 days, just testing me. And then I had, it was just crazy, man. I questioned whether I still wanted to live, what living would be like. And it's funny, the first night I was in the hospital, because I didn't take the vaccination, I had been paying into my insurance for years, but I'd never been sick. And finally, when I needed the insurance, because I had not taken the vaccination, they were playing all kinds of games and other things. So that was a whole nother pressure. But it's funny how, you know, once I got there and they put me in, I was in Inglewood, California, and we used to call it the Dirty Sniff. And we were like in a gang neighborhood. It felt like back in '89, back in LA, like back in the jungle, where my family's from. Because it was inhumane how dirty this place was.
Inglewood?
Yeah. In Inglewood, California.
Lived in Inglewood.
Well, it wasn't the town of Inglewood. It was the fact that this was a facility, Inglewood rehab facility, where they would send us to. And then I started, like normally what I normally do is I get in a place, I'm quiet, I assess what's going on. And so I had a roommate who was getting dialysis. You know, it's funny. I've actually put out a lot of the names because it was too much to hold on to. But it was funny to me that I started noticing, like, okay, this guy's next to me, bad diabetes, ex-gangbanger brother, got to know him. And in the morning, they're bringing him high fructose corn syrup for breakfast. And I'm sitting there going, okay, we're supposed to be in here rehabilitating. How do you really rehabilitate a diabetic on high fructose corn syrup? And then I started noticing all that stuff in the hospital. So truthfully, I had major challenges. I gave back all the medicine and went all natural. Doctors told me I was going to die, that I was crazy, this, that, and the third. And doctors are great people. I'm not saying this to discredit them, but you also too have to listen to the spirit inside of you and what's good for your body. I think that Western civilization has gotten to the point when it deals with medicine, it's dealing with the general sickness, not with the individual. And we're all different. You know what I mean? That's why they'll say stuff like, you're lactose intolerant. Most of us are, because we were never designed to drink milk past our mama's weaning. That's most mammals. But this system made a lot of money selling milk. That's what you remember the commercials. Milk will do your body
make
good.
it strong. And all that
Yeah,
stuff.
because they can pasteurize it. They can put, for all my street bros, they can put a lot of cut on that brick. And they can turn that into a lot of money. So the result of that is that, you got to understand that there's certain things going on. And again, no doctors, because there were some doctors and nurses in there that were angels to me. They basically, they were gracious enough to let me make my choice, and then once I did, they still didn't treat me inhumanly. They were gracious enough to try to let me function as I wanted to, rather than every day trying to come in and jab me and do this and do that. But by the grace of God, Willie, honestly, I got on the CMARS, bladder colloidal silver. Like, I'm in there working out with a 1 pound dumbbell. Like I'm really getting it in. So I had to be rebirthed, and I got a lot of chance to sit up in the hospital, just assess things and just figure out exactly, like, someone said this to me earlier. I think going through the worst part of my life found my greatest purpose. And anybody who really knows Chris knows I'm terrified of needles and doctors and all that kind of stuff. It's not that I don't go, but there's something about it that just has never sat right. And I think maybe when I was younger, reading the book of Daniel might have affected some of it too. Because given what I do really know about food, food's great. But we've become a society that doesn't eat to live, we live to eat. So there's a difference. And food is great, but you got to find balance, and especially when you start getting older. And our culture has a certain type of diet that the food is amazing. I think we make, for me, Jamaican and Southern food, that's my favorite. So fried fish, collard greens, all that. But I had to get to the point where I had to make a choice whether I wanted to be healthy or not. Because obviously there was some disease going on in my cells that was causing my kidney and all that kind of stuff to react. So I started just getting real, healthy, and just started opening my mind back up to the newness of being rebirthed and how I would exist in this time. Because I knew that I wanted to sing again, but I didn't know if I'd be able to. And at that time, I'm still going through a 20-year hiatus of fighting with the music industry over my masters, my rights, my licenses, and stuff like that. So, like I said, I'm sitting in the hospital, and late at night, I would have the greatest revelations about my kids and what I felt I was purposed to do. So this is like the first time me back out. I'm actually doing shows again. And even the people like my rehab people, my nurses and stuff that did wound up sticking out, because I wound up leaving the hospital and actually checking into my condo in Burbank has upstairs, downstairs. So being paralyzed, I couldn't get up the stairs. So I rented out a residence inn in Calabasas and hired 2 nurses, and I healed. I didn't heal myself, but I took the path of natural healing, and I was able to walk again and get my functions back and all. Like, man, I didn't. For the first time in my life, I woke up every day for 6 months, had no feeling in my body.
So you never had to get a kidney transplant?
No, I recovered.
And you made a full recovery. Your kidneys are operating at 100% now.
Nettle
That's
leaf,
good, man. That's good.
Pau de Gall, you name it. I'm probably all the mushrooms, reishi, cordyceps, corylus. There's a fruit that I eat. Soursop was one of the major contributors to just looking at burdock root, soursop, I started learning how to cook with them differently, how to incorporate them in my food, and not always, like a lot of times for me now, especially when I'm traveling, my food in the morning may consist of like hot tea with sea moss, then I'll do a green juice. Then
I was going to ask you about sea moss.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, you know, there's a discrepancy. What's the most natural, the silver, the purple? Dr. Sabi's grandkids say silver. My elders who are from Jamaica say the purple. So the stuff that I order, straight, raw, to the point where it has rocks in the sea moss. So, you know, with everything, when it becomes big business, like right now, I used to love Whole Foods, but now I got to go on Whole Foods and question everything because now it's about...
They've been lying,
They've been
man.
lying, saying,
Yeah.
so now you stamping organic, charging, you know, double and doing all the stuff, and a lot of the products aren't
yeah.
organic.
Yeah.
So it's no different than what, you know, what I feel the people who are trying to take over the farming industry is that they're taking the seed away so we can't grow anything ourselves.
I want to jump in real quick, man, about you and your insight, right? Like, I've been watching you for a long time talk, like not just sing, not just do interviews, but actually talk. A lot of times people have tried to do interviews with you and they just want to talk about you being a sex symbol or they want to talk about the music or whatever. And here you go. Yeah, you know, I'm doing this for the youth. And I want to be a conduit for the new artist. I'm working with this organization. I'm doing music consulting. Like, have you? I mean, you've been like that for a long time, but have you always been like that as a person?
Always.
Yeah.
Honestly, bro, like I didn't fit. Like I always joke when I was young, I said, man, there was a great artist named Bobby Brown. He was the king of all of us singers. And we openly admitted, like when me and Al, or when God rest my brother's soul, Joe Levert, we would be like, that little nigga Bob is a terrorist. He is the king. Like, and I love him. So it was just like, again, and I think we've gotten to a place where we, in society, like, again, I'm 30 years past Don't Wake Me, I'm Dreaming. I'm 30 years past the Halle Berry, Stacey Dash, and every actress that was ever on TV in the 90s. I'm 30 years removed from that. And it wasn't something that transpired maliciously or feliciously. It was organic. It was esoteric. We just all happened to be like classmates in the right place at the right time. And, I get on radio or something like that, and because it's probably like, especially if I do like national radio, that's why I do love podcasts, because you guys get to impart what you want.
Yeah.
Like yours is like dealing with life and real issues. Yeah, you Willie D. You've had another journey. You're not just gifted at music, but this society will say you're good at one thing. Like, for instance, we just talked about Beyonce. Do you think the only thing she's good at is looking good, dancing, and singing? What if she's a better mother? Or what if she's not? But here's what I'm saying in saying that. Why is it so greatly your concern? It's nothing wrong with admiring her, Whitney, Prince, Luther, all of these great, iconic, hardworking, gifted individuals. Including last year we had the 50 years of hip-hop, so they finally... Hip-hop lasted so long that they had to celebrate it. Not because they wanted to, because we all remember, at least I do, I'm from the Bronx, when they were like, hip-hop is the devil. It's a negative expression. It's this, it's that. And the people don't realize it ain't even really about color. What they're trying to misinform us is about our culture. We're not colored, we're melanated. We don't hate, and I speak here now because you asked the question. It's like, yeah, I have always been like this. And the thing for me has been like, I'm probably the lightest, brightest one in the room talking about solidarity. And I made a record with the great Papa San, Crime and Poverty, No Humanity, Grudge and Envy, and Partiality, No Humanity, No Generosity. What we need is solidarity. The record label was like, you're fired.
Yeah, right.
They were like, nigga, nigga, you are fired, nigga. We told you to go put on first of all, where's the barber? So now the actor comes out. They're like, where's the barber? Cut this nigga's curls into the Gumby and get him the genie pants. Call Hammer and get this nigga in dance class, because this nigga can't dance. So it was always like, if you're not willing to be this light-skinned cutie pie, Prince Charming, and there are elements to me that's the way I'm. If that's how you see me, then obviously that's how God made me to you. But I'm from the Bronx. I have a real life. I have real kids. I got a real mom. I was really adopted. I really grew up in the projects. And the sad paradigm is that we exalt all this stuff. Like, y'all don't even know. Rap-A-Lot's one of my first inspirations. You know why? They owned it. Because I've always been enamored with, how do we leave school and not know about the great kings that look like us? Who's Mansa Musa? Who's Abu Bakari 1 and 2? What is the Malian Empire about? And why does all of their scribes and texts look like what Europe stole and said this is ours, including Louis Vuitton? All the stuff that we say, now Massa says this is what the great stuff is, and we don't feel good until we're in it. We don't feel good till we're in it. You could be the greatest star on earth one day, and if you do something and Massa puts out a report and says you're not a good person, then they're counting on us saying you're no longer Will Smith to me. So you don't think Will has regular emotions just like me? Like, if some dude keeps catcalling your wife, and I'm not saying that's what happened with Chris, because I love Chris Rock too. I'm proud of Chris. Obviously, we started in a movie called New Jack City together. But the real truth about all of that stuff is what Kat's saying. We're so designed to go at one another, but the pressure cooker really comes from what we want to say about the truth, this paradigm. And when we get so big, the responsibility is, okay, if I drop this ball, if I'm Jay-Z, or I'm Beyonce, or I'm Will, or I'm LL, or I'm Latifah, or I'm Janet, and I drop this ball, then what if because we don't realize someone else is going to take that mantle. But while we're in this seat right now, in this human suit, we got to do something to change the paradigm. And I've decided to. Small or big. Now, it'd be great. When I was in the hospital, I'm not even going to lie, I made a covenant with God. I said, God, if you give me an opportunity, and I don't call him God, I call him Yahweh. So my whole rest of my life is about the truth, my authentic truth. I don't go to shows and I'm sitting there going, I'm a sex symbol. I go to shows to communicate a song. Even if I'm rapping, don't wake me up because Clean Cut's dreaming. In a deep sleep, my mind keeps scheming. I heard she had a man. I said, so what? Because she be looking sweeter than a honey-dipped donut. That's just not, that was written for a reason. When I was 20 years old, that's how I felt. I'll be 57 in August. I don't feel the same 30 years later. I didn't feel the same 20 years later. That's why I dipped out. All this stuff they're saying in music now, I've been saying this since 91. It's weird that you're even saying this to me. Because I stepped out of music not because my record was whack, not because they dropped me. I dropped them. And then they tried to say, you're Kunta Kinte, and I was like, I think you're going to find out you got the wrong nigga, N-I-G-G-A this time. Because I'm going out on my shield. Anybody who knows me knows that. And I'm not even that kind of individual because I want good for everybody. I want to pass on something. Like, what makes a person feel greater other than seeing somebody else win?
How often do you think about your legacy?
I never do. I don't know what it is. Like, when we just went to the radio station, Tommy Davis and all them said, Tommy looked like he was going to cry. And the thing is, I know it's love because we came up together, but I said it to this gentleman right here. I said, Tommy only knows the Saul, Christopher. He doesn't realize I'm Paul now. He doesn't know that everybody's not stuck in this paradigm. Evolution is going to happen, and it happened for me. I'm more than my music. I'm more than dreaming. I'm more than talk to myself. I'm more than all I see. I'm more than every little thing you do. I'm more than the remix. I'm more than that. I always have been.
Chris, how frustrating is it, though, when people think that's all you are?
It's not frustrating because again, I'm at a place, Willie, where it's like, man, I really can say for sure that I feel good about people. Like, I'm gonna bring up something that, like, again, I pray for Jaguar Wright. You know why? Because she's a hurt person hurting people. And everybody who watches that garbage, when you sit and feel entertainment about listening to a hurt young lady who's been abused, and her and Gene Deal's only method is whack vanity. So again, like, guys are coming to be like, yo, Gene Deal said you carrying the toast and you wasn't with the BS and all that. I'm like, that ain't even why I felt. That wasn't what I was feeling. But that's the narrative they want to create because it fits the repetitive story about us.
Have they said something
Like,
directly about you?
They said that I got my record deal from Puff giving him some crazy nonsense. I'm not even going to repeat it, but the bottom line and the truth is Puff and Jaguar were in junior high school when I got my record deal. I already had hit records. Puff was my intern at Uptown. I started taking a liking to his work ethic. And he was infatuated with my girl, Natalie Macklin, who styled everybody in New York, every dude from Guy to whoever. And if they and I'm straight up, they know I'll say it in their face.
Natalie is the one that you was on that show with, huh?
Right. And you see, as soon as the nonsense started, we were out.
Yeah.
And people, again, I'm caught in a situation where they're like, yo, you beat up Kenya. No, my little brother Apollo punched him. My wife screamed, grab him, because she was like, this could get beyond TV.
You guys are still married?
Yeah.
You and Natalie?
Yeah.
Man, you know, hold on.
We're separated, but we're best friends.
That's a big deal, man. That's a big deal. You're separated, but you're best friends.
And we're going to keep our family together.
But that's good, man. The reason why I ask you that is because, you know, every time people go on these shows, these reality shows, and they're married, they end up getting divorced. Like, I don't know if it's the reality show is some type of prerequisite for divorce, but every time I see it, I'm watching these couples, I say, yeah, you know. I think Reverend Ron is the only marriage that I ever seen him in with Ron's house.
Right.
I think he was the only married guy that I've ever watched on one of those reality shows where they was together, you know, years later after the reality show ended. Most of them, they break up during the filming of the reality show.
It's a prerequisite to be set up that way. Again, it's the same oxymoron as saying, "Hey, I want to heal you. You have diabetes, but here's some corn fruit turd syrup, here's some frosted flakes, and if you need some extra sugar, here's some packs of sugar." That's
an interesting analogy. Yeah,
that's
right on
That's
point.
Basically what it's doing. It's saying, "Listen, take this Halle point, and for money, sell your soul." To pretend to little girls that you get up every day to get dressed up to feel good in full glam. If your man needs to see you in that way to see your beauty, he don't see you. And I tell brothers this, listen, I love money too. I keep money on me. I keep it in the safe. I love money. But I had to learn money don't love me unless you do the right thing with money. So it's like, it's not a deity to me. You need it in this earth, but again, I can't not be, if it requires me not being Chris, I just can't do it. It doesn't mean that it's right, wrong. I'm just saying for me, I can't do it. And I can't pretend and say, I don't see what is done. Because again, right now, we're such a hyper individual society and everyone wants it immediately. So the thing is, if someone comes and says, hey, you can just make up a show, and if you could take the pressure and the hostility of the comments, if you can brush that off, we can get your algorithm up and get you some money. But this is what you'll be perceived as. How many times has Lady Gaga shown y'all she's a different artist as she feels like it? How clever is she playing y'all? Because you wouldn't hear who she was in the beginning. I'm going to tell you somebody else who played you, Lenny Kravitz. He begged black people as Romeo Blue, see me, I'm different, especially in this rap time. I'm not Jimi Hendrix. I'm not Prince. I'm Lenny. But we don't do it. It's just like right now. Why can't Kobe be Kobe and Michael be Michael and LeBron be LeBron?
Talk about that, man. How we constantly pit one another against it. Look, this runs me hot. I mean, every time I see a post like this on social media, I mean, it really runs me hot. A pic of, let's say, I'm gonna just come up with some arbitrary names. Let's say Eddie Murphy, Dave Chappelle, Cat Williams. Let's say Cedric the Entertainer. Caption: one of them has to go. It's just the way that we constantly figure out ways to pit each other against, just constantly figure out ways to compete against one another, and instead of saying something more affirmative, like, you know, all great comedians or something. Look at all of these guys are great comedians or whatever. We got to say one of them has to go.
And how about creating a real depiction where each one of their testimonies and their journeys can help someone coming behind them, because they all made it differently. They all have a different skill set, though they're all comedians. Mm-hmm. Eddie's an older vaudevillian because he comes from that time. Cat's just a genius. And not that Eddie and Cedric and them aren't, but Cat is the people's champion because he turned away from the system. Eddie didn't have to turn because he got so hot. He was the biggest light on a white Saturday night show. So his talent, like light will do, it'll break through darkness. And it doesn't mean Dan Aykroyd and those other people weren't talented. It's just that Eddie's talent, along with his beautiful melon in his skin, made for something very unique to look at. Then once you got into the layers of Eddie Murphy and the people who are around him, Paul Mooney, Keenan, Robert Townsend, you have these five geniuses doing something smart that we don't talk about. They got together and wrote legendary stuff. And that's what I do like about some of the young generation. Like, you're seeing young rappers saying, yo, if we could get past the beef, let's do joints together. And you know, in our day, record labels pit us against each other. Nah, we're not doing that. And they would do it by saying, well, you and Bobby Brown want to do a duet, but MCA wants to charge you $250,000 to get Bobby. But him and Tommy are saying they want to do it. Bobby don't need no money. Bobby got money. Bobby's making $80,000, $100,000, and back then that was a lot of money. But Bobby had money. He was getting money. But they want to control the narrative. So if they can create the same divide and conquer, that's what they do. Just like, I love the thing that happened with Cat. You know what I wanted to see afterwards, though? All of them take advantage of what happened. So Kev, your analytics go up. Cat, your analytics go up. Shay Shay went through the roof. Because Shannon Sharp only was known to football people, sports aficionados.
Well, primarily.
Primarily. Yeah. Not that he's not an amazing brother. This dude is like, but again, they didn't know who Shannon Sharp was, generally, mostly the football player. Most people now that are young, Gen Z, they know him as a commentator. They don't know him as Shannon Sharp. They don't know his brother was a Hall of Fame player as well. So they don't know these things, but that's the good part of what we have now, is just finding the balance of how we take all of this negative stuff and use these platforms for truth and healing. That's my record's called Hope Healer, because my whole life, because of what I went through, is like, I want to uncover the truth about me so that I don't have to, whoever's coming behind me, I don't want them to have to endure what I had to do.
That's a noble thing. You know, the album, it sounds like it's going to be for the people. My question is, how effective do you think that an album like that would be, even the title, considering the fact that this is business. At the end of the day, it's still a music business. So how effective do you think that will be in people looking at that title and taking to it and saying, you know what, I'm going to support that, and not just look at the title, because if you think about the title alone, the title alone doesn't sound like a mainstream thing that everybody just be flocking to. Because we talk a lot of shit about, wanting to be positive, and we're tired of all of the negativity. But my analytics say something different when I put out something that is perceived to be negative or versus something that's perceived to be positive. Right. This title obviously is perceived to be positive. What do you think about how people will receive it?
Well, I think in going into it, I asked my creator to make me clever as a serpent, because it's going to take special dialogue that's truthful in these songs. You're right, because it's going to have the frequency, the 523 or the 428, whatever frequency we bring forward, it has to make people feel good. Because even bad message frequency records, it gets in because it makes them feel a certain way. Then the eye and ear gates open and that message keeps going in. So again, if you keep hearing, wipe that bit, fuck that bit, it's no different than when you go away to a war, you get drafted, you're 18, 19 years old. Generally, you've never killed anybody. Stay out in a war 3 months and see death for 3 months. You will desensitize everything. And that's what they've done with music. So I'm saying that my job is to attempt to re-energize music by not saying positive and making it corny and untruthful or watered down, but making it as real as possible and just being authentic. And then the rest is not up to me, So I have to be okay with that. But we get to that point anyway as young men in order to stay in this business, because again, especially for something like for anything like what you guys are doing or what we do as a culture, it's like they don't know what it is. But we're subjected at 19, 20 years old, and we walk in a record company. There's a 40-some, 50-some-year-old white guy who don't dress like us, don't talk like us, that doesn't know our experience, who's telling us what's hot. And they're wrong. Because again, if you look historically at everything, even Tubi TV, they take a small, I call it farm clubbing, and they send all of us in the farm club. And once we decide who's hot, then they usurp it and say, now Massa says you're good enough. And I don't mean color, I mean culture. Now the gatekeeper, Massa, says, now you're good enough, I will usurp you. And when that transaction happens, that is normally the time when everything that is owned by melanin turns wrong, even when it's Death Row. Death Row had a great mission from the beginning. Me and Eric B. were there. I was a consultant for Suge. He treated us not. I don't have no horror stories about it other than my brother lost his way. The vision, the template was a masterful. It was a mastermind. It was one of the inspirational things business-wise, like Rap-A-Lot, like Dick Griffey's label. No one talks about Dick Griffey because they want to make him the bad guy, because they taught Dick how to demonize artists. So they train you to go get Babyface, go get L.A. Reid, and they're like, we're going to make you the Tom, and when it goes down that is bad, it'll be you who F them, not me who taught you the whole system. And then legally, I'm going to bring all my big attorneys down, and you're going to feel swallowed up, and we're going to let you know that you can't. See, I've been blackballed, and they thought they took it. They thought they took me.
Why would they blackball you?
Well, I think part of the reason why I think Jaguar is confused is because I'm the guy who unfortunately shut down Uptown Records.
How?
Well, physically. I literally physically made them close the label.
How? I need to know how an artist makes a label.
God rest
shut
Andre
down.
Harrell's. So it's kind of like 5 Heartbeats. Sometimes there's a crossroads in life, like when Big Red said, I'm gonna remind you, my office hours are from 9 to 5.
Yeah, I think the statute of limitation is passed, man. You can go ahead.
Yeah. So I basically had to get at Andre and Russell and there were things that were going on then. And I hate to really talk about it, but I want this to help somebody. I love my brother Andre Harrell. And I think to the best of his ability, because of how they were taught to love, that's the best they could love me.
Mm.
But in the end, I hadn't healed yet. I was still young, and there was a lot riding on the Changers record. I thought we made a masterpiece. I was the executive producer. Too much was going right for me. I was becoming the owner. I had gotten Faith Evans a deal. I had produced Patra. A lot of great stuff was happening for me. And no one ever talks about that with me. It's always about, so, are you dating this person, this one? And even now, 30 years later, they're talking about a relationship with me and Puffy. And I'm like, again, this is... Now, what my publicist...
Now, you know when you say relationship with you and Puffy, you got to be clear on what kind of relationship.
Okay, I'm going to get clear. I'm going to state everything exactly where it is. How the situation happened with Russell and Andre. Andre and Russell were my label and manager. So Leo Cohen and Russell were my manager. Andre was my label. I was dealing with Mark Cheatham, who is now a big-time exec, who's a great guy, has done amazing things. Mark was my man. He was getting me shows. We were building something together. And we would sit and listen to each other's ideologies. You know, I knew his wife back then. He knew Natalie. They knew each other. We were building. One day they got me in the office with his boss, Mark Siegel. Now, we had all just signed a thing. They said, listen, Mark's leaving ICM. Now, I had just signed a contract to be represented by them. And they say, you can't hang out with the nigga no more.
Yeah.
Mark Cheatham is not good enough to be around. I'm like this is my okay, forget that he's an agent and I'm an artist. This is my man, he's cool. But literally, I made the wrong choice, and I'll admit it. Russell, who's a powerful person, Andre was my label guy. That was Uptown Records. Like I left Geffen to go to Uptown. And people don't realize I didn't leave Geffen. See, I was signed to a rock and roll label first. When me and David Geffen had discord, when he saw legally I had gotten out of my deal, he wasn't even mad at me. He was like, I think that's genius. When you have discord with your people, they blackball you. And then they don't even want to admit they did it. So Andre never came forth and said his whole label was cross-collateralized. So Heavy's marketing, Mary's marketing, Jodeci's marketing, Father MC, Crit, we all out of one marketing fund. And what happens is Jodeci got hot. Jodeci's incredible. They deserved to be Jodeci. But Andre didn't have the business structure to function in that. And all of his minions and the people who worked there, it was to the point, I grew up with a dude named Jimmy Jenkins, and anybody who ever heard the business lingo, yo, money, this is ridiculous. I can impersonate every record person in the 90s, from Kadar to all, and they had all turned into Jimmy Jenkins. Because that's what this business is. They're like people line up like minions. And when you're hot, they'll do whatever. And when you're not, they'll do whatever. So you can't use fame and fortune as a deity. It's a blessing if you use it right. And we've seen it not be like, listen, there's a reason why the greatest entertainers in the world, who has more talent than Whitney, Michael, and Prince?
I mean, Willie D, but I ain't gonna brag. You know?
Right. Well,
go
okay.
Ahead, go ahead.
But Willie, you must have found some human side that balances you. Because what would make Michael Jackson, Prince, and Whitney want to leave Earth? Do you know what they could have done collectively together right now if they were living?
Well,
just from the sound
choice
of their voice. Well, there always is a choice.
Well, I'm saying that
because when you get deified, and you can't function unless people are going this to you, you have now replaced yourself. Now you feel like you're a creator, and you're not.
Now my point, Chris, is that I think that they were knocked off.
I believe you.
I didn't know Mike or Whitney, but I knew Prince, and Prince was the most health conscious, like spiritual guy, loving, want to be alive type of dude, respect life guy that you ever meet. You know, like Prince did not just die.
I'll go one deeper. What if they're not dead?
they'd have to be on the moon somewhere that nobody visits, because
Like someplace like
it's
Bohemian Grove?
no way possible that Prince, Michael Jackson, or Whitney could be alive and we not know where they are. Like,
Okay, let's really evaluate what we're saying.
and Tupac too.
We live in a
Because, you know,
paradigm.
Tupac was too loud to fake his death. After 5 minutes of faking his death, Tupac would have jumped up. Motherfucker, you thought you had me? Ain't no way, I can't die.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
that's Pac,
Pac
baby.
would've-
You know, he can't fake his death.
No question. I think what happens is they know when they have you. Because you got to think about life for real. Michael Jackson, Prince, and Whitney could have just said, enough. I'm cool. But we don't do those kind of things because the pressure is on us to be like, well, they don't feel loved for real. That's the love conquers everything. Stevie Wonder said it best in the song, one of the greatest songwriters ever. All we in need of is love and truth. Because the truth is, like I'm saying, when they first started this, they just wanted the world to hear their gift, and they loved it. And then in the middle of it, you're like, I want to make a bunch of money so I can take care of myself real good and have a good life and take care of my family. Well, they've reached that part already. So what was your purpose at that stage of your life when, if you look at all the interviews, everything, like when Prince was going into that Rite Aid, where was all his staff? Like, they filmed one of the greatest entertainers. He might be more talented than Lucifer. Because I seen him take instruments out the trash that aren't instruments, and he make rhythm with them. I've met people I've met psalmists. I've met people who understand, like, you described your dad would pick up instruments that he never really played, but once you understand music and you're in that, like, I believe Stevie Wonder can do those kind of things. It won't be long, if you give him a ukulele, it won't be long before he's doing something great on the ukulele. Obviously, the harmonica and the keyboards and bass, guitar, and all those other instruments, rhythm section, because once you learn bass, you kind of can, you know guitar, and vice versa. It's easy to get to. But these guys could play and do anything. Michael Jackson's ability, like, how many entertainers have a piece of Michael who are phenomenal, who just have a piece of Michael? Mm. Whether it's Genuine, and we'll go up the list, Justin Timberlake, obviously Usher, and my fave, Breezy.
Yeah, Chris, yeah.
And again, all we do is sit around and do just what you said. They'll say, this guy is a gang-banging, negative, beat Rihanna up, da-da-da-da. But you keep listening to his music because he's talented. And that was a circumstance. That's not his life. But we won't. Chris could go on and get married successfully for 25 years, and he'll still be the guy who beat up Rihanna. That's who we are as a people, unfortunately. Deion Sanders leaves a black college to open up the door in the D1 world, and all he got was burnt up. I heard somebody's comment said that's why he got his foot cut off, because he shouldn't have left the. I'm like, wow. Like,
But you got to take statements like that with a grain of salt. You know, we are in the internet age where attention is the low-hanging fruit of, getting action. You know what I mean? Like,
so that's why when you said, how do I feel about what they say, I don't feel anyway.
Man, you and Halle Berry, right? And talking about you were talking about how you were tired of people accusing you of mistakenly accusing you of beating on Halle, and you said it wasn't you that busted her eardrum. It was Wesley Snipes. Now I read it, so I couldn't get the texture of how you said it and the expression. So I wanted to hear it from you.
And Willie, you got to realize when I finally did say that, it was 17 years later.
Yeah.
Because for years I kept saying, okay, this girl or this brother, I know both of them, and I love them both. And me and Halle are really great friends to this day. Happy for her. And Van, super happy. But I said, wow, I guess because I'm not on the A list anymore, they've been told they can't tell the truth. But now that Halle's free from that, she's written a book, and the truth will come out. And I'm sure people have heard from her because she's out doing her thing or whatever, and she's at a great space right now. Because I think she's found something that has more value than an Oscar, and that's her family. And Van is included in her family now, and her purpose for what she feels comfortable in right now. And I'm thankful for Halle that she's able to be like, okay, I'm not the one they're considering for the Oscars. It's okay. It's totally fine. You actually get to escape the decrepitness of all of that stuff and still leave as whole as at least business whole. You've got a whole bunch of money. I mean, I know you're paying 3 men alimony who claim to have been men.
Really?
Yeah, but they want money from a woman.
Halle Berry is paying 3 men alimony?
And I'm not putting my girl, my dear friend's business out. I just think that when people start hearing, like, again, I'm dancing around because I've lived a long journey and I'm quiet a lot. So when I do get to talk, people are surprised at what comes out. But the same thing with I'll Be Sure. Like, I didn't answer what you said, and I want to do that. One person in the world alleges that I gave Puffy fellatio to get a record deal in like 92. I came out in 89. I had a record deal in 88. And anybody who knows me knows that is ridiculous. And it's not the homosexual act that's the ridiculous part, because we're in the music business. Anybody, that's a person's choice. But I've lived my life totally, again, if I were gay, I would be openly gay. So again, that wasn't even the emphasis of it. It was the other stuff that was said around it. Because again, now she's going on and on and on and on and on like she's sure. And what I'm trying to say is, like, I have friends who are just coming out the feds right now from when I first released the record, who would like to do nothing more than to show her who the fuck I really am. Like, for real, for real. But I'm like, bro, she's hurting. I'm praying for her. Because we got to make a different stand and a different choice at this time. If I'm really solid, how can what she say affect me?
You know what, man? Now, you just got a couple of extra human points from me. Because I'm going to tell you straight up, if somebody out there lying on me like that, bro, I ain't praying. If I pray for him, it's going to be the kind of prayer like, Lord, I pray this motherfucker go play in traffic blindfolded, in Houston rush hour traffic. Like, get him. Like, it's going to be that type of prayer. Like, slip on banana, bust your head, open to the white meat type prayer.
No, because one time, because my son was so mad, I said, yo, let's just watch. I'm going to watch what she's saying. And when I saw her talk about eating someone's kids, and then someone revealed to me that she put her child's ashes in a raid. Now, I didn't want to watch that. Yeah. But again, because again, might recognizes weakness. It really does. When you really have might, you recognize weakness. And I'm not into the kill. Like, for one, she's a girl. And I said that with Halle, like, I'm not into beating up girls. Am I perfect in my whole life? I've already said that. I made a record called I'm Not a Perfect Man, just so people could, like, bro, I'm definitely not perfect. But is that my get down? No. And there's a million other famous women that you could ask, is that my get down? But I don't want to do those kind of things because it's reckless and it's petty. It's like we talking about nothing, and people want to talk about nothing. Yeah, and that's what they're obviously into. And then the bodyguard comes on and he says, because this is what honestly really happened.
Gene Deal.
One of my Fed boys checked Dean and was like, "Yo, first of all, Chris." So the next interview he goes on, he's like, well, no, I want to retract what I said. I think it was Lewis Tucker. I told that BITCH. It wasn't Christopher Williams. It was the other light-skinned boy, because I remember Chris coming to parties and he stayed with the toast on his side. And that was the second interview. But then they thought that. So then my friends are calling me like with this sense of vanity. And I'm like, I don't want to hear that either. My publicist, now these are the three sides: reality, business, and heart. My publicist is like, I want to tell you the positive part of this. The only other people she talks about are A-list celebrities. They must miss you. Because you've talked about Latifah, Janet Jackson, LL Cool J, Puffy, every black A-list celebrity that's out right now. Like, she screamed, Mary's a fucking whore! When I saw that, I was like, damn. No, I don't even know her song, to be honest. My son played the record, and I honestly said, damn, she's talented. I felt bad going,
she's good.
But I had to be real and say, wow, I don't know her, but Jag is talented. So something must have happened in that situation that turned her out and turned her all the way up. And it really has nothing to do with me, because the girl has never put her eyes on me in her life. Actually, if I'd have met in the 90s, I would have fucked her. Straight up. It wouldn't have even taken longer than 2 minutes. Feet, like my old Jamaican grandfather would say, feet potted.
Feet potted.
Because that's my life for real. But I don't go around like, yo, I guess somebody... Nigga, I done had every girl that most niggas in the 90s would be looking like dreaming about.
Shit, most niggas in the 2000s would be dreaming about.
And again, I'm not saying that like, oh, I'm so great, I'm so this. This is an esoteric thing that just happened in life.
Yeah.
And this is what they want to credit my life for, and I just refuse to let that be. I'm like, bro, those are not the benchmarks of my life.
How long did it take you to get over that Casanova stage?
I never got over it.
So you still there?
I just want to be Casanova the one, but I still would like to have one good one who's like, yo, you know. And I think as young men, because a lot of us come from broken households, as I did, I was adopted, I think we're out there trying to fragment pieces and find out who we are. And then you get down the road and you go, I was wasting time. Because, again, the physical part of me is like, yeah, all those beautiful feet that parted, those spirits still got to roll with me.
Beautiful feet that parted. That's a documentary, man.
The beautiful feet that parted.
Beautiful feet that parted. Wow. The Christopher Williams documentary.
The beautiful feet that parted.
Netflix. That's dope.
This is the theme song, Toe Love.
Let's talk. But you did have, out of all those women, there was at least one set of ugly feet that parted.
Which one?
Stacey Dash.
No.
Ugly woman inside.
Yeah.
Inside, man. How do somebody like you?
She was different.
How does somebody like you end up with somebody like Stacey Dash?
She was an angel when she was younger, man. Not an angel.
I mean, I know what you mean.
You know what it is? Stacey, in my small opinion, and that's my son's mom, love her. But I think that
Aaron?
Stacey has
That's Aaron's mother?
Yeah.
Okay.
Stacey and I have a child, Austin.
Okay, Austin.
Stacey has never felt good enough. She's never felt Latin enough, never felt black enough. And her first sign of success was her mom dating a man named Cecil Holmes, who was instrumental in finding, he was at Casablanca Records for years, the legendary rock group Kiss, and he's been a part of major stuff.
So white dude?
Black man.
Okay.
Who worked at CBS Records, and he was a black man in the music business, a gentle soul who was operating as a white man. And y'all know what I mean when I say that.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to work with the suit, doing all the right thing, and they crushed him at the end. So I'm saying all this to say that no matter what road you take in this business, if your purpose is not an exit on this journey, you will be their purpose. You will be their collateral damage.
Damn, Chris, that's deep right there, man.
If you don't know what exit you are destined to get off for your balance, your peace, you'll stay on that highway till it's too long. Even when you're a billionaire like Will, I think slapping Chris and them turning him away was the best thing for him, because I think he's like, you know what? I'm still okay. If Massa says that I'm a piece of shit, I'm still cool. I'm still Will. I still can go get my money out the bank. I can take care of my beautiful mom. I can support my beautiful sister Ellen, who, by the way, has a great candle, and because those are my people. So again, we turn and be like, well, why isn't Will help? Will's job isn't to help Christopher Williams. His job is to only be what we've been, colleagues and friends. People don't know me and Will made a record together. It's just that I chose to do the record that didn't hit. We did Luther Vandross's joint over, I Can't Wait. And it didn't hit. And the very next record was when he went. I did a record with him when he first got on the Fresh Prince. Because again, I have a strange dichotomy in my life. My aunt was Ella Fitzgerald. I've been in Hollywood.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that.
I'm not
man.
new to this.
That's history.
I grew up.
Right there,
I
man.
grew up going from the projects to sitting on Tony Bennett and Frank Sinatra's lap.
Get out of here.
I got pictures. I
Wow.
post them all the time. Count Basie teaching me scales. Oh, come on, man.
You can do it.
You can do it.
Come on, Chris. You sure you Ellis? You're Ellis' nephew. You got to do it.
Do something.
Wow.
But I've been around this. I've seen the indoctrination. I know the stance my own aunt took. My aunt is a story they won't tell, but that's one of the projects I have. I'm going to tell the story of my aunt's life, her real life.
What do you remember about her?
Everything. Well, mostly our relationship was fighting over baseball. She's a Jackie Robinson, Brooklyn Dodger fan, and I'm a Bronx Bomber. I'm a Yankee fan.
How old were you when she died?
I was 28, 29.
Yeah. That's heavy. Ella Fitzgerald.
And my name and my
that's
ex-wife and my name are actually on her gravesite next to Marilyn Monroe and Humphrey Bogart in Inglewood. We were just talking about Inglewood. So I was right next to my auntie's.
Your name is on her grave?
Yeah, Left Behind by Ray Brown Jr., Janice, Karen, Christopher, and Natalie Williams.
Beautiful.
And that's all it says.
Beautiful.
So that was my dog. But again, I didn't use those stories to propel Christopher Williams.
Right.
When I came in the music business, all I said was, I'm a light-skinned guy who loves Teddy, Marvin, and Luther, and I'm trying to be a flat-footed baritone singer. And all they did from day one is try to tell me who I am.
See, Chris.
They told me Talk to Myself was hot. Do y'all believe, let's laugh about that shit.
Chris,
you know what I do in concert, Willie? Not the sidebar.
No.
I talk to myself because there's no one to talk to. People ask me why I do what I do. It's my prerogative. Because that's what the song, literally, they brought me in the office, and you think I'm joking. They had the barber in the office who was going to give me the Gumby. They had the genie pants that Hammer and Bobby used to wear because they needed the loose joints to get busy. And they were like, they had the choreographer and everything. They're like, we're going to make you the light-skinned Bobby Brown. I was like, whoa. I said light-skinned Teddy Pendergrass. It's like, no, we got this. And again, here's another time where they showed who they were. Because when I said no, they called Cassandra Mills and said, tell Chris we'll give him $50,000 just to do the song for shits and giggles. And they come up with one of those really cool things they say, like, just for shits and giggles. Okay, for shits and giggles, we're going to do it. So they wire over the $50,000, and I ain't going to the studio until they do it. I go to the studio. I don't even know what the record is, but they've been raving about this record. We get in the studio, and it was my first single. I Talk to Myself. I, to this day, don't like that record.
Why?
Because it felt cheap. Because, again, they were trying to use the fact that me, Bobby, and Al were becoming good friends. Me and Bobby used to, we were starting to really hang out, and we were starting to really,
they was trying to take advantage of the fact that
and it was a corny thing because it was like, that's not really me. That's Bob.
Yeah.
That's who Bob is. Hi, I'm Chris. You can find something in me to sell that's different. And that's why they pit, because they see us as cattle.
Well,
Period.
They also understand that there's strength in numbers, and if you guys ever get together and put your brains together, perhaps you'll build something where you don't need them.
And imagine if the whole human race did that.
Yeah.
Beyond blackness. Because I'm not a racist. But I feel that a small part of racism should be in every ethnic group, because that'll teach you to appreciate, one, the truth of who you are, which we have no clue, most of us. Unfortunately, we've been stripped, so we can't get back to that place of like, and now the internet has created all these know-it-alls. So you got people on the internet all day who are just talking about, yo, I know this for a fact, and that may be a fact for you. So you have to be gentle in your message and say, listen, all I can say is this what worked for me. Because all of these great places that people have got to, whether you're Oprah, this one, that one, Barack Obama, they got their different journeys.
What's going on with My Brother's Keeper?
Well, My Brother's Keeper was a movie that I wrote after New Jack City, which would have, well, I wrote it 10 years after New Jack, maybe a little longer than 10 years. But I wrote it along the time when I saw Wayne and Drake exploding. I got an epiphany. And I was like, Drake could play Little Kareem, and Wayne could play Little Nino. And I'm going to switch their personalities. So Drake's going to be the wild boy, and I'm going to teach Wayne how to be Akbar. And there were so many, this was like a Woody Allen movie, because literally there were 8 stories going on at once. And at the end, I had taken a piece of Face Off where we're at a big meeting, about a big syndicate meeting, deal's about to go down. Me and Nino don't know that we're about to see each other for the first time since I've been out of jail. And that's when I go to him and we act like we're going to beef, but we do solidarity. And the Cash Money Brothers take over at the end. It would have been a great movie. But Wes didn't want to, and I respect Wes for that. He felt like he was at a juncture where he had paid his debt to society, got out of the situation with the taxes, and he just didn't want to be involved with Nino Brown anymore.
Speaking of Wes, which one of y'all dated Halle first?
He did.
So
I'm going to tell you how I met Halle. So I went to Spike Lee's party in Brooklyn. Wes had just done Jungle Fever. They were at the party. But I had 2 women with me at the party. Wes, and let's say they were literally like, in Wes's words, they were 2 times finer than Halle. And they were together because I used to have a sort of polyamorous type energy. So Wes was losing his mind. And I like playing with people because I'm more like the Mac in the movie The Mac. I'm like, nah, go play with her. Go do your thing. So he is having a ball. And he don't realize Halle's sitting there now having a conversation with me like a friend. Like a friend. Next time I saw Halle, Island Pictures tells me, you got to come to the set. Andre and Russell call me. He's like, yo, I got a role I want you to do, and there's a movie involved. But I need you to come rugged. Like, I need some Bronx shit. I come down to the set with Tim's on. You know, I got it's kind of fall. I got like a big leather with the stuff in it. We're practicing the scene, and my gun falls out right in front of the producer, Mark Berg, and all of them. Halle, I knew Halle was my NIGGA. She reached down and picked the gun up and put it back in my coat, and we left the set. Didn't Tommy Davidson just say that?
Wow.
I knocked on the trailer, said, I'm leaving. She was like, I'm going with you. We didn't come back till the next morning. And, of course, Andre and Russell were like, yo, nigga, you got the goddamn start of movie. Nigga, what are you doing, nigga? You're ridiculous. But we got to the set on time. They don't realize Halle had forgot her medicine, and she's a diabetic. So I had to hit her with some insulin. I had to get her some OJ and then go hit her with some insulin because she got sick.
And we didn't. And honestly, somebody with insulin.
No.
Say less.
It's for the gallery people in the Bronx. They'd be like, I'm going to say a funny word. Maybe the people in the Bronx will call your show, but anybody from the Bronx, call Willie D and let him know who Tito or Ferrucci is.
Tito and Ferrucci.
But we used to have fun being young, but no, I had a wild young life, man. I had a great journey. My music career is a great journey. And I think when you start to bring up the valley of places, people take it as negative. I just see, my perspective is different. I see a challenge. I see, like, when I'm scared or I'm like okay, I'm pensive, like I'm like, this is gonna take some concentration. Those are normally the greatest victories in life. If there's nothing involved that challenges you, it's too easy. It doesn't, again, it's just like when you first got up to rap. I first got up to sing in a professional setting, dude. I had to like get myself together. Not that I was scared, but the moment had met the time. And it was like, okay, everything I've wanted to do, I got to get myself together to relay this message properly so I can move forward. And thankfully, I was able to do it. But even in my record deal, like I met Michael Rosenblatt from Geffen Records in a club with Stacey Dash, Lisa Bonet, and Marissa Tomei. We were all partying at Nell's. At Danceteria, not Nell's. This was before Nell's. And Danceteria used to be a club in New York that had dual bathrooms. One of the first times I ever seen that because I had not yet been to Europe. So I'd never seen men and women going in the same bathroom. I was like, oh, this is fly. I was like, this is amazing. I'm standing at the bar buying drinks because, again, like New York, all this stuff you see in these bad boy videos, they're emulating our lives. They're emulating Eric Von Zipper, it's Pretty Tony, Greek, Batman. Like, y'all get the stories about Alpo. Y'all get the stories about the kids. The kids learn from the OGs who put it down. Yeah. So, and again, these stories will come out in my perspective because, like I said, when I first got a record deal, all of my friends went to the feds for RICO. They're just coming home. Los, Kenny, Mac, and I'm doing a podcast because all of these gentlemen have different walks of life now, and we're going to sow into young men, not just with opportunity, but we're living testaments, gunshot wounds, knife stabbings, but grace has us in a position to be able to bless somebody on the other side. That's really what my life is about. The music, movies, all of this is fun, but it's just the platform. And for me, it's gamesmanship in business because I get to stand and give God the glory and say, y'all thought y'all had me, but I own all my stuff now. And I didn't even have to fight. When I was fighting y'all with my hands and fists and with my toes, you wasn't winning then either because I'm still standing. So all that mafia shit or whatever the shit y'all was talking about, I was like, again, nigga, I wish you would. Because now you playing with the right one. I'm not going to say nothing because I don't do no rapping like that. All my action is clapping. That's it. And and my heart is new, so I can't do that. So now I have to use wisdom and grace. And every day a spirit tells me, turn authentically what you've gained and teach others to accept what they've gained through loss, because you only learn to win once you learn to lose. Mm-hmm. People think winning is brick and mortar. The winning is the piece and the template. Because again, we just talked about Whitney, Michael, and Prince right now could put their voices together and create anything. They don't even have to touch their money because we're at a place in evolution now where the sound of those three voices, like Amos 3:3 says, if they'd walk together and agree, do you know what would happen? That means they could make Beyonce, Rihanna, all the biggest young people do the same thing. Let's find solidarity. Not to be racist against other people, but to really find a real reality and what would we be in a real fair playing field?
Unstoppable?
Zamunda. Not Zamunda. That was funny, Chris. Not Zamunda. The movie with the great brother who just passed with Angela Bassett, Wakanda. How could I say Zamunda? I was thinking about Eddie. You got me thinking about Eddie Murphy and Daryl with the Jerry curl. Big shout to my boy Eric LaSalle who played Daryl with the Jerry curl.
Yeah. How often do people try to check, like really test you because of the role that you played in New Jack City? How often do they try to test you about that?
Because from men's men or people, I think when people come around me, they might want to say something slick or disrespect or whatever, but then they're like, oh, nah, he's cool. Yeah. Like, he's regular. He didn't come in with the pretense. He didn't, sometimes guys will be like, you on that light skin? They'll be like, Actually, I've heard from people that I'm the most dark-skinned, light-skinned dude they ever met. And that has been said over and over again. So, you know, we've all been tested. I don't get along, obviously, with everybody. But fortunately for me, I'm so, like, aloof, or I come straight at a person. I respect everybody that normally for me in my life, as somebody who takes a disliking to me for a reason that has nothing really to do with me. And I used to take those things on, but I just don't. So, you know, like in the sense of whether it's, you know, and again, like, you know, people don't realize I've said these things in rebuttal after years. I never rebuttal right away because I'm sitting there just as mystified or disinterested as a person who has a real life. Because I'm disinterested. I don't care what actually goes on the internet at all.
Isn't it funny when they lying on you and you know the truth? Or are they just telling a lie and you just know the truth? You sitting up like, oh, you don't even know me.
Listen, for years, me and Al B. Shore laughed about this. I said for years, how don't people know that's Al B. Shore and you can call me crazy? And from fear, Teddy and Gene will sit there and be like, no, that's Timmy Gatlin. And because Gene went up there and fear-mongered everybody, they stuck with that story for 30 years. But now we're at a time where they feel comfortable to go on live and be like, okay, now Al and Teddy can come together and be like, no. Teddy's like, no, that was actually Al B. Shore. But we exalt that type of behavior. And it's nothing, again, I've said, I can say stuff that I've done. I just admitted I was wrong. I took the $50,000 and sang that terrible song, Talk to Myself. I admitted 3 things where I said, listen, I shouldn't have done that. But people don't do that anymore. People get famous and think they're perfect. Or people get fortune and think they have ultimate favor. What did the dude Steve Jobs just say when he was dying? If I'd have known what time was, our most precious commodity in this life is time. Because you can hit Lotto tomorrow for $1 trillion and you can't buy a second. Like they say, buy a vowel. You can't buy a second. You can't buy a second. And these false paradigms they keep putting in front of us, they're not even our culture. Because again, when you look at our culture from the beginning, and this goes in any, like, you know, the church says Jesus is the creator. But there was no J. So I know he's the creator. He is my Messiah. He's Lord over my life. But I know for a fact his name ain't Jesus.
You know why? You know why it doesn't? It doesn't start. It doesn't start with a J. It starts with a G. No, fuck me. I don't know, man.
You mean like GZ?
Man, who raised you?
My grandparents. My grandfather, Reverend Lawrence Williams, and my grandmother. She was a gangster.
Yeah.
I mean, she was the sweetest first lady in church. My grandmother, we lived in Edenwald Projects. So if you go around the projects I live at right now, there's prison gates around the projects. This is the projects, my glasses. Right here is the 47th precinct. They shoot out every day. Like if we went Edenwald tonight in the Bronx, somebody gets stabbed or shot.
In the precinct right next.
And the precinct, you could throw the spoon from your icy right to the front door of the precinct.
But they'll shoot each other, but they won't touch the police. But the police will shoot them and beat them up and do whatever they want to do.
The same paradigm that goes over and over and over again. So again, the thing is to, you know, we got so much to uncover. There's no time to be beefing and all this trivial stuff because again, we're seeing NICA, which is the housing thing. They're taking all these people.
NACA. NACA.
We call it NICA because New York can't pronounce anything properly. But we're having people, melanated people, fighting with, and now they're dogging Eric Adams. And he's only doing what he can as a melanated mayor. And they'll say he's the worst person because he's trying to allocate funds in certain places that might be beneficial to us. Well, what do they do?
But he do be jigabooing sometimes.
Oh, he jigaboo. Listen, Obama's a jigaboo.
Yeah, he jigaboo.
Because if you know anything about Bohemian Grove, how did the only black president get in office and we ain't getting no reparations?
Yeah.
When we gonna get it? When Trump gets back in office? And I'm gonna say that again for the people who hate me now and are not hearing me, because he didn't put himself back in office. The system, when you look at what the Crown Corporation is in this system, he never left the office. He never left the office. This show you people watch, the news, wagging the dog, this thing you follow, the economy that the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers created with waterfall wealth that only they get the waterfall. Keep repeating his story and what they say and see how far you go.
So is the trial fake?
Huh?
Was the trial fake?
All this is fake. Is he in jail? When black men are on TV and they say you are guilty, where do they go?
Chris, man, you funny. You don't even be trying to be funny, man.
I'm serious though,
Well,
Willie.
I guess reality is real. Reality can be humorous sometimes, because yeah. I mean, you said it like
Listen,
exactly how
they
it
have
is.
less empathy for black men. Have you ever seen the black man that did 20 years and they find out he's innocent? They almost are like, all right. So it's almost like, all right, we're going to do the right thing, but give me a minute. Because I really don't care that he did 20 years. Trump can say and do whatever he wants. Because that's why he don't pay taxes. Read your Bibles, Christians. How you sovereign and getting taxed at the same time? How is God a jealous God and he's jealous of anything but serve a master? Nigga, please.
How do you attempt to overthrow the government and not be in jail?
You don't overthrow the government. You overthrow your household. You teach yours, and you start conducting yourself in this way. Because we see it happening. In a minute, just like Whole Foods is lying about the food, they're the ones who got us hopped up on the good food. So now that they have us, they're like, now we're going to send them the other way because Whole Foods has been usurped by Bill Gates and his minions. So now they done bought out all the... See, I could go on and on and on. So people don't want to talk to me. And murdering me ain't going to do nothing because I've been dead. And I'm not scared. I never have been. And I mean that with my whole MFing heart. I'm a real soldier. A real one. A one who will go on his shield gladly. That's why you don't see no cameras in my hospital room. I don't need empathy. I want to be a blessing to people, and I'm going to be the miraculous miracle, one of the people that is so unexpected. To be like, this, him? And it ain't going to just be me. It's going to be a coalition of people who believe for good, who have value in humanity, who don't just see money. I love money too, but it don't make me huck-a-buck and shuck-a-boo, and I'm the same dude with it or without it. Because you know what? When the feet first parted, I didn't have $1. When God first spoke to me, I had nothing. And I still feel like I have nothing because I'm nothing without him but the real him. Not the religion, not the word. Even the word Christianity, unfortunately, bothers me. And I'm a Christian. Because once it usurps, it can't handle. That's why God said, to whom much is given, much is required. If we have dominion over the earth and all therein, as the word says, what dominion does the church have in this world right now? Jay-Z and Beyonce have more dominion than the church. And I hate to say that, but it's the truth. You can't get no youth to go to church really willingly, generally. But tell them Beyonce or Rihanna or somebody like that is, yes, sir. And there's nothing wrong with that. They make great music. They're phenomenal entertainers. But where's the balance in real life? Just like I wrote in my song, Solidarity in 1990, we as a people got to find a better way. We know times are bad when babies are being raised by TV, which teaches racism, which teaches violence, and it's all for the love of money. They were like, bro, I don't care if I don't get props like Marvin Gaye, because my stuff ain't as good as Marvin Gaye. But it's the same heart, but nobody sees it, and that's cool. But there will come a time when people won't even know me for being a singer. It'll be shortly. Because just like you said, I can listen to Chris sing, but truthfully, he all right. He ain't Luther. He's all right. But I believe the greatest part of me is what is inside of me. I told this to my son. I said, son, I wanted to be the generational curse breaker because I never knew my father. But I was like, he was like, why you always put, I'm your hero, Dad? Stop saying that because he calls me Mufasa. He's Simba. and little Chris is Copa. I'm a Leo, so it's like a lion thing. But the thing that he always tries to emphasize, like, Dad, I know you're not done, and I'm your son. But he even them don't realize this platform I'm doing is not to get rich in music. It's not. Now, it is selfishly to go out on the right note. Because when I put this thing that God gave me down my career, which Yahweh said, I'm going to make an opportunity for you, I want to give him all the glory in the end. Because it ain't that I'm great or I'm so good. I'm just committed to my purpose. And just like David, people think, oh, you go to church and you get this appeal, oh, boodle stick up, bop, 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 stick up, I'm somebody new. God don't make you new. He changes your heart. David did not change being David to slay the giant. He believed in the same shit he slayed the lion and tigers and bears with. He didn't change nothing. And he was denounced by his own father. Because when the prophet went in and he said, I'm looking for the savior. Jesse said everybody but David. Because he said, not the boy. But that's how God works.
Man, you about to go into a whole sermon. I was like, man, I ain't brought no cash with me, but I got a card over here.
Yeah.
But man, look, man, hey, what you got coming up, Chris? I appreciate you stopping by the show,
I appreciate you, Willie, always, man. My new project, Rebirth, I got a Christmas record. Musically, media-wise, I'm just formulating a new team and just trusting that divine appointment is happening even as we speak now. And one of the things that you said really made me think, because it made me really say, you know what? Don't rush. Because this does have to be clever to work in business. And also, when it does work, do you notice that when somebody creates a model of ownership, somehow you don't hear about it no more? Somehow it's not as celebrated. And it's almost like there's a fake fish that they wave to you to say, hey, come get this. So now Death Row can turn into a glamorized retardation, which big shout to Snoop for trying to bring it back. But they took a guy who, like Marion Knight, Suge, didn't even want to take pictures. And you put fame and fortune and the foolishness of this business around him, and they get usurped. Yeah. Then before you know it, your focus isn't on what you started. It's on all of this other stupid stuff. And you start going, hey, I'm around John F. Kennedy. I'm around this person. And that's what makes you feel you're nobody. You're not. Yeah. You don't even know who you are.
You mentioned Suge earlier, and then you just mentioned him again. And you talked about the downfall.
Because I love him.
When did you recognize, when did you start seeing like chinks in the armor? And you say like this ain't good, man.
When Dr. Dre called me in Vegas, we were celebrating Mike Tyson coming home. We were all in Vegas. And again, me and Eric B. always being on the low. Big shout to my brother, Eric B. And Dr. Dre called me in my room and was like, he told me the whole vision for Aftermath while he was still at Death Row. Now, I'm going to be honest and true. I love Dre. But unbeknownst to Dre, I had, again, slept with his wife. Before it was his wife, though. No disrespect to Dre. That's my man. That's my man.
This won't be the first time he's hearing this.
No, I'm sure he knows now because they're divorced. Because he's had to have heard that this girl that, was first married to Liddell Threet was his name, number 3 from the Lakers back in the... So yeah. Threet was her first victim. But then...
Spreewell, yes, his name.
No, not Spreewell. His name was Threet. Oh. He was number 3 on the Lakers. If you check the Lakers roster in the early 90s, you'll see him.
Okay.
And he was on the team when Magic and all them was there. So we would go to the Forum. This is how far back I'm talking. And again, she was a young girl. I don't know who she was. We just met. And again, like I said, 15 minutes later in my Range Rover, her feet are on the dashboard or whatever's going on. But the reason why I'm saying is that a lot of times there's a set of, and we all know this, we used to call them gold diggers, but now they treasure hunters. Where it ain't about who you are, it's about what you are. Biggie says in his records, he was basically saying, y'all used to say I'm black and ugly as ever, but what changed? Because I'm Gucci down to the socks? Now Christopher Wallace is beautiful to you. That's human nature, unfortunately. So again, when people are always running to me with this false vanity, it's like, bro, I'm all right. I'm no better looking than anybody else I'm looking at. It's who's looking. Because the truth is, I don't really want everybody looking at me like that. I don't think anybody does.
Yeah.
And if you do, then you have a different personality as far as you need outer touch. I'm more into inner touch. I'm not worried about my outer core. Like, I look at my life like multiplication. People are like arithmetic. When you multiply and add in my life, but when you subtract and divide, me and you, I don't dislike you or hate you or anything. We're not around each other.
We're on the same page right there, man. If you're not helping, you're hurting.
Hurting.
Christopher Williams, luckily for all of us, has been helping his entire time on this earth. I didn't even know you before the music, but I just know you was a good dude. So I'm putting those years in there too, man. I appreciate you stopping by, man. I really do. And I appreciate the things that God got in store for you, man, because I know he's not done with you, because I know you're on a mission. Every time I hear you speak, man, you're always talking about evolution. That's why I know you got more to come. Yeah. Thank you for coming on the show, man.
Thank you, Willie. I appreciate you, my brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, Christopher Williams. No more talk.